Good morning, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a really good week. Today's Sunday and I thought I'd sit down and do some cards based on my story. So the way I'm going to kind of structure this moving forwards is, if you look at the videos on the channel, you'll see that I've done my story, chapter 1, parts 1 to 10. And basically, I'm going to tell my story of kind of what brought me to do this channel and how I kind of arrived here, and the spiritual journey that I went on to overcome heartbreak, and how that spiritual journey not only made me see heartbreak different, but completely changed me as a person for the better, for the positive. So I thought probably the best way to do it is to tell the story chapter by chapter, then at the end of each chapter do an appraisal through the questions that came up from the heartbreak, and then the answers that I received, and then my take on what love is now. So essentially it'll be the book chapter, then the questions that came up around that chapter on heartbreak, then love answers will be the answers that I received on my spiritual journey, and then the love is how I see it now. So I hope that makes sense. But as we go through, I'm sure it'll kind of all fall into place. But, you know, you can dip into these videos, which are just based on heartbreak and love and what love is from my perspective, having gone on a spiritual journey and having been through heartbreak many times, but actually how I overcame the one that completely floored me and how I see it now. And you can dip into just the story if you want to as a story. So it's entirely up to you, whatever resonates and whatever helps in your loss or your heartbreak or your healing process. There's no right or wrong, it's just whatever works for you. Okay, so I'm just going to start with some of the heartbreak asked ones. Okay, so for those of you that have read the book chapter, I guess this was my first cry for help, as we all do whenever we're in a very, very desperate situation, or we've lost someone, or something's been taken from us, or someone passes on, or whatever we lose, just, sorry about that, whatever we lose from a loss perspective. Our first, I guess one of the first things that comes out is help me. And I think this is where I kind of thought, so many times I'd been in that situation, and not through kind of relationship heartbreak, just general heartbreak, whether it was when you love something dearly, and it can be a dream, it can be your passion, it can be a job, it can be anything. But when we lose something, the first thing we say is help me. And what we normally do, we're either lying down on the floor somewhere, crying, feeling helpless and alone. You know, bathroom floors are a good one. Most people love, you know, lay down on their bathroom floor at some point in their life, and we all kind of look up and say, help me. And I guess this was part of my trigger on the spiritual journey. It was like, who am I asking for help? I'm asking someone for help because I don't have the answer. And what I realized on this journey is I did have the answer, and we all have the answer. You have the answer. And I think this is something that we always believe, whether we're religious or spiritual, we always look outside of ourselves for an answer, and we can obtain guidance, we can obtain relief when we offload to someone, whether we go and see a professional and we offload and they make us feel better. You know, yes, those things help, but essentially what I've learned, and I've done every single way over my journey, and the ultimate healing comes from going within you. And so I guess what I would do, I would change this, rather than help me, I would change this to I can help myself. And it's so very simple. We make it complex because we always believe it's outside of ourselves. But if we start to go inwards and start to really connect with our own journey, then the answers will be revealed to us. And so many people say, oh, that's absolute rubbish. But like I say, I've tried it every which way. And the other ways, you know, talking to someone, doing all of those things, yes, they all help to some degree. But the change only happens when you go into yourself and you actually decide to make that change and to actually take action. And you can help yourself when you have the tools to do it. And that's what I'm going to be sharing on this channel in some of the courses that I'm going to be running. And they may not be courses, I don't know yet. They may just be kind of workshops. It may just be a download where you can do a few steps to kickstart you on the first part of that healing process. So I'm kind of working on what I'm going to do at the moment. So, but there will be something coming that I'll be able to share those tools with you. Okay, so yeah, for help me, think about when you're saying that there is help, you can help yourself. You're in control of it. You're in control of you, and you can create the change and the shift by doing very simple things. So there is hope. You won't be feeling like this forever. You know, we all think that we're never ever going to feel any different. And when we're in a desperate situation, we feel that there's no way out. But there absolutely is a way out, and there absolutely is a toolkit to help you shift that perception and to create the change that you need to change, and a change that's lasting. You know, not a change that, oh, I feel better when I'm talking to this person, but when I leave the room and close the door a week later, I feel rubbish again, or I feel down again, or I feel desperate again. This is something that you'll be able to use constantly, and you won't need anyone. And you'll be able to bring yourself back every time you go through those horrible feelings and horrible emotions. Okay, so the next one is, why do I feel so confused? And for those of you that have read my book chapter, when we have something happen that's unexpected or out of the ordinary or shocking, that takes us out of our comfort zone, the mind has to process that. The mind cannot, you know, it gets used to the habits that we create. It gets used to the comfort. And when our emotions go into chaos, then the mind cannot understand what's going on. It becomes baffled, it becomes confused, it becomes chaotic. And in that chaos comes calamity. And when we get into that calamity, it's almost as if everything becomes blurred. It's like we're in a fog and we cannot see any way out. And naturally, our natural instinct is to hide. You know, that's why when we go through these things, we pull the covers over our head and we hide and we withdraw from the world. And that's basically allowing your emotions, your mind, your body to actually go, I can let go now. And that is the letting go process, you know, and it's a really important part of it, is to actually, you know, go to bed, pull the covers over your head and just let it all go. And I think that's something that we kind of feel guilty when we go through those things. You know, we kind of feel like, well, why can't I be like me again? Why can't I get back? How am I going to get over this? How am I going to do this? I can't go on. You know, we go into all of these kind of really destructive, almost kind of negative thoughts. And it's completely natural to go through that process. And you have to go through that process. But I think there's a time limit on that process, where people think, you know, if you don't know how to change that, then you feel you'll be stuck there forever. And I think that's one of the most difficult things when you go through heartbreak, is that feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm never going to feel any different to this, because it's absolutely taken every single part of me away with it, which I think is what most people think when they go through heartbreak. They feel like they've lost part of themselves. And I think initially, yes, that's the case, because it's energy. It's all about energy. And when something leaves us, that energy leaves us. So therefore, there is an empty space. There is an empty part. But what happens is, the more you bring the focus back to yourself, the more you work on yourself, the more you work to understand yourself, the more you give to yourself. And this isn't like having a bath and, you know, doing some yoga and things like that. All those things help, yes, 100%. But this is so much deeper. This is really, really connecting to your soul, your spirit, your energy, the core of your being. And, you know, we're here on this earth and we get to know everyone around us. Everything's about getting to know the people around us and fitting into that place around us. But you're on this planet for a limited amount of time. And do you really know yourself? And when you really absolutely know yourself, you gain comfort from that, because you absolutely understand your life's journey and your life's path. And we only feel fearful when we don't understand. So it all comes back to trying to understand the situation. And in my case, there were so many shocking things that have happened. But, you know, from the story perspective, yes, it was completely shocking. It was completely heartbreaking. It was completely life-changing. But sitting here today and looking back on it, it was a blessing and a gift. And I see it that that's the way it was supposed to be. That's the way my journey was supposed to go. You know, so much of our journey, I believe, is we're given signs and we're given direction. And when we pay attention to those signs and we pay attention to the directions with the guidance that we're given, we make the right decisions. And when we lose things, we lose them for a reason. They're not meant for us. Whatever is meant for you will never, ever, 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 ever pass you by. And so much is based on emotion and desire. And they're beautiful parts of life. You know, emotions are the most incredible thing. When we use them in the right way, they can enhance and elevate us. When we don't understand them, they can deplete us and destroy us. So it's about finding that balance. And that's partly why I set up this channel, because I believe that love is the healer. And when we think of love, we think of romantic love. We think of, you know, relationships. But there's a much, much, much greater love that heals you, that elevates you, that comforts you, that guides you. And it is the magic of life. It's the magic of the universe. It's in everything we do. And we can connect to that, and we can change things very, very, very quickly. So if you're feeling confused, it's totally natural. It's totally normal. And, you know, I think sometimes when we just kind of accept something and go, well, actually, you know, I've been through something very shocking. My mind's in shock right now. And once I get my head around it and come to terms with it, then I won't feel confused anymore. And sometimes even just saying that to yourself eases the suffering, because when we're in something, we feel confused. We go, oh my gosh, I don't know why I can feel confused. I feel so confused. I feel so confused. We keep telling ourselves we feel confused. Then we bring fear into it. When we bring fear into it, we bring chaos into it. When we bring chaos into it, we completely lose ourselves. So if you're feeling confused, you know, just say to yourself, well, actually, I'm feeling confused right now, but that's absolutely normal and natural. And it's okay to feel confused. And with time, it will calm down. And when my mind calms down, the confusion will disappear, because it will. And you know, I say this every video that I do, the candle, light a candle. You know, take time to light a candle every single day. Just when you get up in the morning, you know, obviously be safe. But when you get up in the morning, light a candle, because the light brings life, it brings energy. And when we bring light into the room, it brings good energy, it brings positive energy, which is why I light a candle every day when I do these readings, because I'm bringing you light, I'm bringing you good energy, so that, you know, you start the day off in the right way. And, you know, throughout the day, whenever you're feeling sad or overwhelmed, you know, take a moment to sit and just stare at the candle flame. Just take a moment to just be in that present moment, even if it's for 2 minutes. Even if you did that for 2 minutes every day, just lit a candle and looked at the candle, in a month you'd feel a completely different person just by doing 2 minutes. I'd recommend 10 minutes, but just start by doing 2 minutes, or even a minute, or even 30 seconds. Just something where you're connecting with the light. And it's so sensitive, it's so subliminal, it's so small. It's a small act which creates a big change. You know, when you think about candles, where they are, they're always in places of peace, where you go for calmness, for clarity. So, you know, just light the candle and know that you've got good light, good energy in that room at that specific time. And that 100% helps with the healing process. Sorry, I keep hitting the camera because I'm so focused on what I'm doing, I keep hitting it. Okay, so why can't I stop crying? And this one is, I'm going to do a whole video on crying and tears. It's on my list to do, because I think crying is one of the most amazing, magnificent, magical, beautiful, incredible things that we can do, because the emotions trigger the tears. And how do we feel after we've cried? We feel absolutely exhausted, because we've relaxed and we've let go. And to have the ability to let go of the heaviness, of the weight, of the burden that's on your shoulders, of guilt. People carry guilt. There's so many things we carry. But to have that ability to be able to cry, crying is such a release. It's a release of emotion. It's a release of every emotion. Whether it's happiness, we cry when we're happy. We cry when we're sad. We cry when we're frustrated. We cry when we're losing something. We cry when we win something. It's extreme emotions trigger the tears, but it's a gift and it's a blessing. So when you're crying, don't say, why can't I stop crying? You know, I believe, and it's worked 100% for me, that in those moments when you do feel overwhelmed with emotion, embrace the tears. The tears are a good thing. They're an amazing thing. So cry, let it go, allow everything to release, and know that this is part of the healing process and it's okay. Don't worry about crying. Don't try to stop crying. Just let it go and allow it to happen. And when I do the video on crying, I'm super excited to do this one, because I love crying. I think it's one of the greatest gifts that we have. It's our own healing mechanism. And, you know, so much in society is about, you know, we all cry, but so much in society is about, it's not a good thing. And I think if we give ourselves permission to go, well, actually, it is a good thing, it's an amazing thing, then we accelerate that process. And it's all about accelerating the healing, because life is precious, life is short, and you do not want to waste precious lifetime overcoming something, healing from something, you know, especially when in most cases there's absolutely nothing you can do. If you're suffering from heartbreak, in 90% of cases, you know, it's out of your control and there's absolutely nothing you can do. So you're giving so much energy and time, which is natural to the heartbreak. But I do believe that you can accelerate the process so that you don't spend lifetime suffering unnecessarily. Okay, so the last one, and this is a really natural one that everyone feels. Why do I feel so angry? And anger's an amazing emotion. Again, it's a gift, because it's really interesting, because someone said to me once, until you can feel anger, you won't be able to achieve anything. And I can honestly say that I didn't, I think I was probably, I would say I didn't feel anger until I was about 40. So I spent the first 40 years of my life, I did not feel angry. And people used to say to me, well, how comes you don't get angry? And I used to say, well, I don't know really. I just don't, there's nothing you can do about these things. And I didn't get angry at other people, because I kind of looked at it, well, if people choose to do something, you've got no control over it. And anger is an absolute wasted emotion when it's translated in kind of revenge or rebellion or any of those things. All it does is it hurts you. It doesn't hurt the other person, because you're expressing that anger, and if they've disconnected from the emotion, then it will not touch them. So I guess, and it was only until I was about 40, and then I experienced this heartbreak, and I felt so angry about many things. I felt angry at myself, I felt angry at the other person, I felt angry at the situation, I felt angry at the timing, I felt angry at everything. Because when you go through heartbreak, you feel as though someone's broken you. Like, one day you're one person, you walk out the door, the next day you're someone else. And that's a good reason to feel angry. But looking at it now, how did it serve me up to those first 40 years? You know, when I didn't really get angry, and then when I got angry, what purpose did it give me? What was the purpose of the anger? And I think that's the thing. Why do I feel so angry? It's taking the anger and turning it into a positive. And I think for me, how I turned it into positive was from writing. So writing what I'm sharing with you in the story. Because when we turn out anger, when we put our anger onto the page, we see it differently. We can take a step back and we can look at it from a different perspective. And that's so important when you're dealing with anger, because anger is fueled by chaotic, out of control emotion. So when you put it on the page, you get to see it differently. And then you go, oh my gosh, am I really doing that? Am I really saying that? Am I really crazy? Am I really, all the things that come into your head? Because when we're in anger mode, we go crazy. And I think it's so good to step back and go, okay, let me look at this. Of course I'm going to feel angry. because from shock, when we have a shock, when the shock kind of calms and we start to understand it, then we feel angry because we feel our pride's been hurt. We feel humiliated. And it's normally, anger comes from normally those fake emotions, or the emotions that don't really mean anything. They're false. It's all about how people perceive us and perception, and it's not about the real thing. It's not about the soul and the spirit. When it's the soul and the spirit on the deepest level and you connect to that, you will see it differently. You'll see it from a much deeper perspective. You'll see it from a much more grounded perspective. When you understand, the fear goes away, and then you can then the anger starts to dissipate. So if you're feeling angry, why do I feel angry? Of course you're going to feel angry. So it's a defense mechanism. It's a protection mechanism. If I feel angry, no one can come close. No one will come close. It's like an animal. When it's angry, nothing comes close to it. If a tiger's roaring at you, or a lion, or any animal, it's fearful. It's projecting fear to those around it. And in that, what do the other creatures do? They run away. And on the deepest level, you project that anger and that roar, so no one comes near you, so no one can ever hurt you again. And I think anger is one of the most important ones to accelerate the healing on, because anger's the one that will keep you stuck. Anger's the one that will keep you feeling low, will keep you feeling depressed, will keep you feeling lost, will keep you feeling detached. Anger's top one on my list to eliminate the quickest. And of course you have to feel it 100%, but I think that's the one that you have to let go first, because once you do, then everything will heal exponentially, and you'll start to feel a big weight lifted, a big burden. And again, with the course or seminar, whatever I decide to do, when I do that, I will give you tools and tips and techniques to accelerate that process and to help with that process. But the first one will be to write everything down. Just keep writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. The more you write, the more you release. And I would just keep doing that as much as you can. And that will definitely help in that process. Okay, so I hope this video helped. And I'm going to be doing some love answers cards, which are all based on nature and how nature heals us, which is my journey and my process of what I did. And then love is will be my take on what love is. Okay, have an amazing day. Stay strong, stay focused, stay happy, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.